Welcome to another SkaredCast Battle Report. Today we have Matt and his gorgeously painted 1500 points of AlphaLegion Space Marines against the Dark Eldar Cabal mixed units. Of course, we're testing lists for Astronomicon Toronto, and we're playing Lost Patrol. So we have a tactical squad and a Rhino with a Doze Blade all the way there, with a rocket launcher, power sword, melter bombs, and flamer, and a Reaver jet bike unit with 2 heat lances. And of course, Dark Eldar have chosen to deploy first and go first. Everything is in reserve. There's a drop pod coming down with Stern Guard, which could mean the death of jet bikes. But Matt here is going to try and steal the initiative and see if he succeeds. And he does! Good job to Matt. And now we're back right after the beginning of Turn 1. Stay tuned for an action-packed battle report. Stern Guard dropped down, blew the crap out of the jet bikes before they got a chance to move, killing them all. The Lost Patrol is now truly lost. And his Lost Patrol has moved up and boosted. Of course, Dark Eldar turn 1, nothing happens, because reserves don't start rolling till turn 2. So now we're rolling for AlphaLegion turn 2. See what shows up. We have
2 Predators.
One shows up.
Bike with Lord.
Shows up.
Other tactical squad.
Does not show up.
And Storm Raven.
Shows up. Okay, so we're having a lot of reserves coming into the board to nothing, as the Dark Eldar had planned the demise of the jet bikes all along. We'll be back right after this. The Rhino move up with the Lost Patrol. Predator move up. Storm Raven zoom on, getting some cover, getting in a position where he can go either way. The bikes with the Lord, their Warlord trait, by the way, is move through cover within 12 inches, so the bikes are fine. And the Stern Guard move back in a supporting position, with the other Predator and the other tactical squad in tactical reserve. So now, we're moving on to Dark Eldar turn 2, and I'm going to start rolling for some reserves. We have the Archon and his Incubi in a Venom. They show up. We have the Beast Pack unit. Does not show up. We have the large 20-man warrior unit with a Farseer. Shows up. We have the Ravager. No show up. We have the Razorwing. Show up. We have the Eldar jet bikes. Show up. We have the large witch unit in a Raider. Show up. And we have the small witch unit in a Venom. Show up. So the only things that didn't show up are my Beast Pack and my Ravager. Everything else is coming up. Razorwing showed up, tried to skyfire at the Storm Raven and failed. The Witches and the Incubi boosted up into a position to threaten some units. We had the other Witch unit move up, kill a bike and put 2 wounds on the Captain. And then we had the 2 Splinter Cannons from this 20-man unit take down another bike. With the Farseer and the unit moved on here. And we had the Eldar jet bikes move on and boost behind that penalized line of sight blocking terrain. So the bikes need to take a morale test. And they're okay. And then we have to roll for reserves.
Predator.
The Predator shows up.
And tac.
Tactical unit does not. Okay, we'll be back after Space Marine turn 3. The reserve Predator came in. Predators blew up the radar, killing 7 witches in the explosion. The bikes moved up with the Stern Guard. They fired at my Eldar jet bikes, killing 2. And he needs to take a morale test. And he holds. And Assault Cannon fired into the Razorwing and did nothing, while the Hurricane Bolters and Multi-Melter fired into the Warriors, killed 1. And other than that, that's it really. And now we're moving on to Dark Eldar turn 3. And I have the Beast Pack to come in. And it does. And I have a Ravager to come in. And it does. Okay, so now we'll be back right after Dark Eldar turn 3. Stay tuned, as the battle is now going to get joined. The Ravager showed up. The Farseer guided him. He fired into the Rhino, did 2 hull points with 2 pens, and stunned it. And then the Archon shot a Haywire Grenade at it and missed it. So the Archon had to charge in and ended up killing it in close combat. They lost an Incubi to the Flamer overwatching. But then the unit's out. Remember, it can't shoot next shooting phase because of the stun results, and it can't charge me because it was out of a non-assault vehicle. Razorwing put 1 hull point on that Predator that's still fully operational. The Witches charged in and wrecked that other Predator over there. The Venom right here, after the fiasco of the big double cannon unit actually succeeded in wiping out the entire bike unit, leaving the Lord with 1 wound left alive. And the Eldar jet bike moved back behind that building, while the beasts, who are fortuned, are now moving up the field to threaten that flank. And now we're moving on to Space Marine, turn 4, and the other tactical squad is coming in. Unit of Space Marines moved up out of that Rhino, blasted into the Incubi and Archon, killing 2 Incubi, and forcing a lot of saves. The Predator blew up that Venom that was right there. The Stern Guard and the Lord tried to fire at that Venom and didn't succeed in doing any damage. The Storm Raven zoomed over and blasted one Chimera out of the sky because Fortune saved their butts and killed 3 warriors with assault cannon fire. And now I'm moving on to Dark Eldar, turn 4. A big unit of warriors moved up. Farseer snap-shooted his spear into the rear of the Storm Raven, didn't do anything. Shooting from this guided Venom and the Razorwing saw the Storm Guard veterans and the Warlord take some damage. Well, the Warlord survived, but there's 1 Stern Guard left. Razorwings put 2 hull points on the drop pod after they charged. Of course, that pack is fortuned once again. Archon and Incubi failed to charge the big unit of Marines after losing the Incubi to Overwatch fire. And the Witches blew up wrecked the other Predator. And the Ravager killed 1 Marine in that unit, trying to knock out that Flamer. Now moving on to Space Marine turn 5. Could be the end of the game, as it is random game. Storm Raven switched into hover mode, blew the Farseer and a bunch of warriors out of the warrior unit. They held. The Captain moved up and boosted. The Razorwings failed to destroy the drop pod. The Jet Bike and the Venom are okay. The Ravager was immobilized by the assault cannon. The 3 Witches, 2 died to a Flamer and a Bolter. 1 survived. The Archon's okay. And the missile launcher failed to do any damage to the Ravager. Now we're moving on to Dark Eldar turn 5. Could be the end of the game for the Dark Eldar. Stay tuned. See if we can pull something out of this. Dark Eldar turn 5. The Witches that he'd forgotten were in the Venom jumped out and charged the hovering Storm Raven, wrecking it out of the sky. The Warriors moved up, blasted the Lord into oblivion. After the Jet Bike had tried, he actually got 1 Blade Storm in, AP 1, but he made his invulnerable save, so he got props for that. The Beast Pack killed the last Stern Guard. The Razorwing killed the drop pod. Basically, we're trying to get as many points because it's kind of like an old school victory points style mission. The Ravager immobilized the Rhino, while the Archon joined up with the Witch, killed the Flamer by focus firing on the Flamer, charged in, killed the Sergeant in a challenge, and now it's a tied combat, and the Archon is fighting a bunch of Marines. And now we're seeing if the game goes on, because it is random game length. Matt is going to roll, and it continues. We'll be back after turn 6. Okay, end of full turn 6. Shooting saw the rocket fire and not do anything at the Ravager. And the combat over there, nothing happened. 2 rounds of combat. My Archon actually missed with all 6 of his attacks. The Razing moved this way to, if it goes on to a next turn, try and strafe the units that are over there. Other than that, moved up to capitalize on my points by getting units within 12 inches of my opponent's deployment zone, having a scoring unit of mine within 12 inches of my deployment zone, and I'm still trying to kill his Lost Patrol, which is a full unit of combat Space Marines. Okay, so now we're going to roll to see if it continues on to turn 7, and does it? It does not. It is done. Turn 6, and we'll be right back after we've counted up all the points. Stay tuned, because it's going to be a close one. And the points have been tallied. So, we have, for the Dark Eldar, 4 points worth of victory kill points. So weird amalgamation of points. You get 1 point for each full 250 points of the enemy army that you've killed. I killed about 1,100 of the enemy army, therefore I have 4 points. I got 1 point for having a denial unit, my Beast Pack, within 12 inches of my enemy's deployment zone. I have 1 point for having a unit within 12 scoring unit within 12 inches of my deployment zone, and then I have 1 extra point for having no enemy units within 12 inches of my deployment zone. Matt succeeded in keeping his Lost Patrol alive, so that gains him automatically 4 points. He killed 680 some points of my army, so he gets 2 full points for the amount of points that he destroyed. He gained 1 point for having units within 12 inches of his board edge, like scoring unit within 12 inches of his own board edge, and he got 1 point for succeeded in killing my Lost Patrol, which means by 1 point we have a Chaos Space Marine victory. So till the end, it was a nail biter. Thanks a lot, Matt. That was fantastic. And do you have any final comments, as always?
Oh, Dark Eldar, always the bane, but it was a very well-fought game, and I won't make that Storm Raven mistake ever again.
I know, hovering around Haywire Grenade Witches, not a good idea. That pilot was not thinking straight. He kind of got gung-ho trying to kill the Farseer, ended up losing his team 230 points. Okay, well, thanks a lot for watching. Make sure you check out the YouTube channel, all that good stuff, the blog, the podcast, and if you like it, like it. If you want to favorite it, favorite it. If you want to share this stuff, share it with other people. Let them know that there's fully painted armies on fully painted tables and terrain that are videotaped for your entertainment. We'll be back right after this. Matt, good luck at Astro.
Thank you.
Cheers. And we'll be back after the Tactical Corner. Make sure you stay tuned. Cheers. Bye. To the Tactical Corner. So, we start with the board. As you can see, no terrain on it. We decided to set it up thematically in order to play the game. Now, going on to Matt's army. He's developed this army for Astronomicon Toronto. Storm Raven, bunch of scoring units, good fire support, and within the composition scores, if you want to check it out, I'll put the link up on the video description. It's actually quite close to a perfect comp score. The same as my list. A little bit varied, little things here and there, using the Beast Pack more as a very assaulty unit, big 20-man warrior squad. A little bit restrictive with only 4 scoring units. Now, the board itself, varied terrain, lots of stuff. It was a Lost Patrol, so we decided to make it more like a barren wasteland with a couple of things here and there, line of sight blocking stuff. Tactically, I wanted to go first. Matt stealing the initiative and dropping down with the drop pod really hampered my plans, as I lost 4 points right off the bat with my combat, my Lost Patrol getting completely annihilated. So from the beginning, I was playing a very uphill game, and I actually played it a little bit badly. I should have focused on one side and just rushed it with everything I had, but because he had put his bike squad on the far flank together with Sternguard, I was able to split my army up, force him to not be able to move up to support that side of the board, as those bikes would have just run into a wall of poison shots and would have get absolutely destroyed. Now, the beast going up that flank meant I could move up quickly, use the drop pod as a movement booster to get up near his deployment zone and help me score some points later in the game. Now, the key to this game, of course, was the Lost Patrol, which I tried to take out. Not being able to take out the Rhino, having to charge it with the Archon instead of charging the guys inside with a full unit of Incubi, really hampered my plans in order to do that. Although I was able to, put the hurt on them and really put some pressure on later in the game. Now, Matt did make a big mistake by letting me score a lot of victory points towards the end of the game that really made it a lot closer than it probably should have been, by hovering his Storm Raven and letting me mop up things like his Lord, the bikes, the Stern Guard, and the drop pod. In combat, of course, my Archon was a champ, and as always, he just kept on making shadow fields left, right, and center. He didn't win a combat, and I was hoping that eventually he would either make them run off the board and fail to catch them, or something would happen. Anyway, thanks a lot for watching. It was a close game. See you next time. Skari out.